The moment this story surfaced, the entire entertainment world seemed to freeze mid-breath. Screens lit up across continents, fans leaned closer to their devices, and one question echoed louder than anything else. How did a quiet tension between two of the most beloved stars turn into a full-scale legal confrontation that is now shaking the industry to its core? If you think you understand what is happening, stay with this story until the very end, because every layer we uncover reveals something deeper, something more calculated, and something that no one expected to unfold this publicly. It began with whispers. Not loud accusations or dramatic headlines, but subtle shifts that only the most observant fans noticed. A missing interaction here, a delayed response there, a sudden distance where warmth once existed. For months, followers of both Shen Yue and Bai Lu had admired what seemed like mutual respect, even quiet support behind the scenes. Their names often appeared in the same conversations, sometimes compared, sometimes celebrated together as two of the brightest figures in the cdrama world. But something changed, and no one could pinpoint exactly when. Then came the moment that ignited everything. A viral post began circulating across social media, carrying claims that quickly gained traction. It was detailed, emotional, and structured in a way that made it feel believable. Within hours, it had spread across multiple platforms, translated into different languages, dissected by fans, and amplified by accounts chasing attention. The narrative it pushed was bold, controversial, and damaging. At first, many assumed it was just another rumor that would fade with time. But this one did not fade. It grew. And with every share, every repost, every comment, the situation escalated. Behind the scenes, tension was building rapidly. Sources close to Shen Yue revealed that her team had been monitoring the spread of the claims from the very beginning. What concerned them was not just the content itself, but the speed and coordination with which it was spreading. It did not feel random. It felt structured, deliberate, calculated. Then came the turning point. A formal statement was released. Clear, firm, and impossible to ignore. Shen Yue legal team issued an official warning addressing what they described as defamatory content being circulated online. The statement did not rely on emotional language. It was precise, focused, and backed by intent. It warned of legal consequences for those responsible for creating and spreading false narratives. And in that moment, everything shifted. This was no longer just a viral rumor. This was a legal battle. The response from the public was immediate and intense. Fans divided into camps, each trying to defend their perspective while searching for evidence to support their beliefs. Discussion threads exploded with theories. Some believed the warning was a necessary step to protect reputation and truth. Others questioned whether there was more to the story that had not yet been revealed. Meanwhile, attention turned toward Bai Lu. Her silence became one of the most discussed aspects of the situation. Every hour without a response added fuel to speculation. Was she preparing her own statement? Was her team analyzing the situation behind closed doors? Or was the silence itself a strategy? The uncertainty only made the situation more intense. Inside industry circles, conversations took on a different tone. Analysts began examining the implications of a public legal warning between two major stars. They spoke about reputation management, narrative control, and the increasing role of digital platforms in shaping public perception. What once might have been handled quietly behind closed doors was now unfolding in front of millions. And then came another twist. Fragments of what appeared to be internal communications began surfacing online. Screenshots, partial messages, and unexplained exchanges started appearing in different corners of the internet. None of them were fully verified, yet each one added another layer of intrigue to the story. Fans began connecting dots. Timelines were reconstructed. Old interactions were revisited and analyzed in ways no one had done before. The story was no longer just about one viral post. It had become a complex web of perception, influence, and power. Through it all, Shen Yue team remained consistent in their stance. Their message was clear. False narratives would not be tolerated, and legal action was not just a possibility, it was an active path being considered. The tone suggested confidence, as if they were prepared for whatever came next. And that raised a new question. What exactly do they know that the public does not? As the days passed, the atmosphere grew heavier. Media outlets began covering the story with increasing urgency. Headlines focused on the potential consequences, the impact on careers, and the broader implications for the industry. Commentators debated whether this moment would set a precedent for how similar situations are handled in the future. Because this was not just about two individuals anymore. It was about the power of narrative in a digital age. It was about how quickly perception can be shaped. It was about the thin line between truth and assumption. Then, just when it seemed the situation could not escalate further, insiders hinted at ongoing legal preparations behind the scenes. Documents were being reviewed. Evidence was being compiled. Strategies were being discussed. The quiet phase was over. Something bigger was coming. Fans sensed it. The tension was no longer just online. It was everywhere. Every new update felt like the beginning of a major turning point. And yet, despite all the noise, one thing remained clear. The truth had not fully surfaced. Not yet. So now the world waits. Watching. Analyzing. Trying to understand what will happen next. Will this legal warning lead to a full confrontation that reshapes both careers? Will new evidence emerge that changes the narrative entirely? Or will this moment become a defining example of how quickly stories can spiral beyond control? If you have followed every twist and every reveal, this is the moment to stay even closer, because the next development could change everything. Share your thoughts, stay informed, and keep watching as this unfolding drama continues to redefine what it means to protect truth in an industry built on perception. And remember this: in a world where stories travel faster than facts, the real battle is not just about what is said, but about who controls what people choose to believe. The silence did not last. Just when the tension felt like it could not stretch any further, a late-night update surfaced that sent shockwaves through the entire fan community. It was not a formal press release, not a polished statement, but something far more unsettling. A brief message, reportedly from someone close to the situation, hinting that this legal warning was only the beginning. And suddenly, everything felt bigger. Behind closed doors, the pressure was rising. Sources began to suggest that Shen Yue legal team had already started gathering detailed evidence, not just to defend, but to go further than anyone expected. There were whispers of internal documents, archived conversations, and strategic timelines being reconstructed piece by piece. It was no longer about reacting. It was about proving something. At the same time, attention shifted sharply toward Bai Lu, whose response finally began to take shape, but not in the way people imagined. Instead of a direct confrontation, subtle signals started appearing. A carefully worded post. A cryptic message that seemed calm on the surface, yet carried an undertone that only deep followers could decode. Fans immediately went into analysis mode. Every word was dissected. Every pause was questioned. Was it a denial, or was it a strategy to buy time? And then came the moment that changed the atmosphere completely. An insider leak suggested that a third party might be involved. Not just as a bystander, but as a key player behind the scenes, possibly responsible for amplifying the narrative and pushing it into the spotlight. The idea that this was not just a personal conflict, but something orchestrated, sent the story into an entirely new direction. Now the question was no longer, who said what? It became who started it all. As this possibility spread, the conversation intensified across platforms. Longtime supporters began revisiting old events, connecting details that once seemed unrelated. Patterns started to emerge, timelines overlapped in unexpected ways, and suddenly the story felt less like a spontaneous scandal and more like a carefully built situation waiting for the right moment to explode. Meanwhile, the legal pressure continued to build. Insiders hinted that if the situation escalated further, formal proceedings could follow, something that could bring private details into public view in ways that neither side could fully control. The risk was enormous. Reputations, careers, public trust. Everything was now on the line. And yet, despite all the noise, one detail stood out more than anything else. Neither side had revealed everything, not even close. Which means what the public is seeing right now might only be a fraction of the full story. And if that is true, then what happens next could completely redefine everything people think they know. So stay alert, because this story is far from over. The next move, the next statement, or even the next unexpected leak could change the entire narrative in a single moment.